You drop the eggs, you drop the fatty meats, you start getting all these problems. And imagine this. There is a drug for those side effects. Low vitamin D, there's vitamin D supplements plus K2. There is calcium supplements. Imagine that. And this is why your parents are coming in with a prescription with 9 drugs, with 10 drugs. You're wondering, all these drugs are going into the liver, they're going to interact in the liver and cause these parents more problems. How can we have 10 drugs on a prescription, 4 of which are treating hypertension? And I'm going to explain how drugs for hypertension work, so that you can see they have designed drugs to target every stage. This part, you see this part, this line is called the RAS system. There is a drug that targets every stage. There is a drug that blocks the kidneys from giving you renin. There is a drug that blocks renin from binding to renin receptors. There is a drug that blocks the enzyme that converts angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. There is a drug that blocks aldosterone from binding to the receptors. However, so look at it this way. We have all those drugs targeting each step in that RAS system, but we cannot cure hypertension. Hello? Yeah. We have... Sometimes I think I'm dreaming. Yeah? And this is how much I really feel bad when I see somebody on drugs for hypertension for more than 10 years. Imagine, when will we ever get tired of swallowing those pills? I know nobody loves taking these pills, but we cannot do anything because our doctors are so brainwashed and they believe that hypertension is irreversible. But ask them what causes hypertension. What will they tell you? Genetics. What will they tell you? Obesity. But they tell you go and lose weight, but they don't tell you how to lose weight because they themselves are obese. They cannot lose the weight. So how will they tell you how to lose weight? You know that? This is the reality that is happening out here, and you know, everybody knows one person or one relative who is suffering from diabetes and hypertension. Somebody who has drugs and they're spending a lot of money on this medication. You know them. But you cannot help them because you are blind. And that's the reason why I exist. I come in between to actually tell you, hey, this is hypertension, this is where it's coming from. And why do I do that? Because I understand the mode of action of these drugs. So if I understand the mode of action of these drugs, I know where they're targeting. Therefore, I know where the cause is. Once I know the cause, I don't need to go this step to go to drugs. Because what the systems are doing, what hospitals are doing, they are feeding diseases and then give you drugs to manage the symptoms as the disease establishes itself. Don't be surprised that our mothers and our fathers and our uncles are in that diabetic ward and they're eating brown bread every morning with tea that has sugar and milk. Don't be surprised when you take fruits to them, thinking that fruits are healthy, they are natural sugars. They are not. They are just sugars. The body does not know natural and synthetic. The body knows glucose, fructose, and that. It doesn't know. Ati yo ni miwa, oh ni sukari nguru. It doesn't. The body understands when you bring it in, you've brought in sugar. So that sugar will take a channel for that metabolism. If it's fructose from the fruits, it's going to take a fructose metabolic pathway. And as you eat those fruits, you constantly develop a fatty liver. And the fatty liver is the mother to the diabetes and hypertension that you're suffering from, to the kidney disease, through insulin resistance. And we ignore the bigger part because during hypertension treatment, we constantly tell you to take drugs and then go and eat fruits. Fruits are giving you insulin resistance. And did you know that insulin resistance is the number one killer of the kidneys? And the kidneys are the ones that are regulating blood pressure. Did you know that? Did you know that insulin resistance is the number one in heart problems, in the strokes, in the brain problems? Did you know that insulin resistance actually causes hypertrophy of the cells that line the blood vessels? Hypertrophy means enlarging. So when these cells that are lining these blood vessels enlarge, we narrow the diameter of the blood vessel. When we do that, what are we doing? We're actually increasing blood pressure. So imagine you take fruits, you narrow your blood vessels, and then you take nifedipine, you open up your blood vessel, you keep taking fruits, you narrow it, you take nifedipine, you open it. So basically, you're simply trying to cope with the disease by just masking the symptoms. And then later on, you die from a heart attack or a stroke because of high blood pressure. And then we tell you, oh, alikufa stroke. Oh, he died of hypertension. But we were treating hypertension in the first place. How did he end up dying of hypertension when we were treating hypertension? How? Are we really making sense? I thought if you are treating hypertension, it's supposed to go. But you're told, this one, we can only help you manage it. Then you manage it, and you continue suffering, and you continue eating brown bread, and you continue with your ignorance, because if somebody tells you brown bread is crazy, you're like, no, my doctor said. And that doctor, that same doctor is the one who is taking 28,000 from you every single time. He's taking that consultation fee, he's sending you to the pharmacy, he's getting commission from the pharmacist. Every time the prescription comes in, he's getting a commission from that prescription. So the more the drugs on the prescription, the better his pocket, and the worst your health. Therefore, we are telling you, open up your ears and listen. Okay? And the interesting part about this platform, we don't tell you just not to drop the drugs. We tell you what to do so that you can actually taper down the drugs. We tell you what to eat, which does not come with side effects. No food comes with side effects. Amazing, right? And we empower you with information so that you can actually fix your own self. You don't need to rely on us to come in and change your life. And if you're very keen, if you go through my platforms, I don't think there is a condition that will actually destroy you. So diabetes, hypertension, cancer, we are feeding the diseases and then trying to mask the symptoms and then giving you drugs that will give you side effects. And then those side effects, we have drugs for those side effects. So we give you a drug that is cholesterol to lower. Actually, we start it this way. We tell you to stop eating eggs. Look, listen to this keenly. Your doctor tells you, hey, eggs, why are you doing 6 to 8 eggs every day? You are supposed to do 2 eggs every week. And then you do 2 eggs every week. Okay? Faithfully for the next about 2 months or so. You go back very weak. He takes cholesterol test. He realizes your cholesterol levels are going up. Now remember, you drop the eggs. You've never used tallow or ghee or coconut oil, the saturated fats. You've never used them. Okay? You've dropped the red meats. Now you're busy on the white meats. Eating the white meats. And they will never tell you why you should eat white meat over red meat. If they do, they will tell you red meat brings radicals. But they will tell you that, but they'll never tell you to stop eating smokies and sausages, the processed meats. They are quick to tell you to stop eating meat from the butchery, but keep eating meat from the industries. Right? Eat bacon, eat sausages, eat smokies. Is that not what they say? Yeah? So it's okay to eat 2 smokies every day, but it's wrong to eat meat from the butchery. So now listen keenly. So you drop the eggs, you drop the red meat, you've never used tallow, and then you go back after 2 months of doing that, and your blood cholesterol levels are going up. And then he takes this and he tells you, oh, I can see your cholesterol is going up. And you, as my audience, you ask them, of course, Dietary, I've dropped the eggs. Why are my cholesterol still going up? I thought if I drop foods that are rich in cholesterol, my cholesterol is going to go down. Why is it still misbehaving? That is what I do. I help you ask these questions. Okay? But before this channel existed, you will simply go to the doctor. He drops the eggs, he drops the tallow and all that. He puts you on seed oils. He tells you the clear one is the better one. And then you use it. And then you go back 2 months, 3 months down the line, your cholesterol is going up. When you come in, he tells you, oh, there is a risk of heart attack. There is a risk of stroke because you can see the tests. Your cholesterol is going up. Now he has to put you on drugs. Oh, we have to put you on a statin to actually lower this cholesterol. But Dietary, you told me to drop eggs because they are rich in cholesterol. So what happened that my cholesterol is going up? But Dietary, what is wrong with this cholesterol? Don't I need it? When you ask those questions, you see how he goes blank and how he starts throwing jargons there. Oh, hyperlipidemia. Oh, cardiomegaly. Oh, the cardiovascular accident. Instead of just telling you stroke. Telling you now, hyperlipidemia is going to cause you a cardiovascular accident. When they say that to you, you're like, cardio what? And now the fear is sold successfully. And now, of course, you'll allow him to write a statin. He's busy writing a statin, 40 milligrams or 80 milligrams every night before you go to bed. And you take it faithfully. And now 3 months down the line, you're losing memory. Your muscles are becoming so weak and wasted. Your immunity is going down because of low vitamin D. You start having these fractures and your bones are becoming so weak. Ladies are having a lot of issues with the hormonal balance. Men are having issues with erectile dysfunction. And you're having this numbness. And then you go back, you tell Daktari, hey, Daktari, I'm experiencing this problem. I'm losing memory. And as you do that, guess what he says? We'll give you a drug for memory. Don't worry. We'll give you a supplement that will actually boost your memory. We'll give you a drug for erectile dysfunction, sildenafil, right? We'll give you another drug for nerves, neurobion, right? Or pregabalin. We'll give you a drug for muscle wasting. We have collagen supplements here. We'll give you a drug for hypertension. We have nifedipine plus HCTZ. And now you're just treating symptoms of low cholesterol. Am I the only one who is dreaming? Now you see why you have 7 drugs, 8 drugs, 9 drugs on one prescription. And that prescription is a monthly one. It has to be refilled. I mean, if you don't refill it, you'll keep on losing memory, right? If you don't refill it, you'll end up dying from a stroke, right? If you don't take it, you'll end up suffering from nerve problems, right? So now he constantly sells you fear, Some of your doctors hate me, but they don't hate me as a person. They hate what I say that they're doing wrong. And I told you, maybe your doctor has practiced this for 30 years. He has all these papers because of ego now. He has done all these, is whatever. Dr. Fulani, PhD, KBC, CKT, and all that. He has attended whatever, British Lancaster? Yeah? He was the other day in South Africa, attending, South Africa conference for what? And he has all these papers. And now he's coming with these papers with the ego inside him. Zero wisdom. Totally knowledge and intellect. Zero wisdom. Zero common sense. He comes with that and he's busy he's selling you the fear because that's what he has been told. He has been trained to do that. Sometimes I think the higher we go with this medical field, the more crazy we become. Anyway, let's continue. So the RAS system. Already you understand that these drugs are targeting every step. So, listen. Fixing the renin. You see, we already have an angiotensinogen from the liver that is going to be converted to angiotensin 1. That enzyme that converts angiotensinogen to angiotensin 1 is renin. It comes from the kidneys. Therefore, again, the kidneys play a very important role in management of blood pressure, in regulation of blood pressure. So you have to protect those kidneys by all you have. So renin converts angiotensinogen to angiotensin 1. And there is a drug that blocks renin. A drug that is called alisikeren. Alisikeren. Now, from that name, we have Ali, and then we have Sik. So sometimes these drugs are just lead you to where you want to go to. We have Ali, and then we have Sik. So it's alisikeren. This is a drug that blocks renin from converting angiotensinogen to angiotensin 1. Remember, the aim of the RAS system, the renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system, is to raise blood pressure. So you are into hypotension, now you have to bring that blood pressure up. Okay, so the body senses your blood pressure is low, and now it has to deduce mechanisms to bring that blood pressure up. So now, because we are bringing blood pressure up, we block renin, and we are good to go. So that's one drug for hypertension, alisikeren. Now, you've already converted angiotensinogen to angiotensin 1. And now you have to convert angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2, which is the active ingredient. That enzyme that causes conversion from angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2, it's called ACE, angiotensin converting enzyme. So it converts angiotensin. Is that so hard? So when we slap you with this medical jargon sometimes and these things that actually confuse you, do not be confused. You can simply sit down and understand medicine by just reading or listening to somebody like me. Okay, so angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2, we need an enzyme that is called ACE, angiotensin converting enzyme. And there's a drug that blocks that conversion. There are drugs that block this enzyme. They are called angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors. So they inhibit that enzyme that converts angiotensin. Simple. And these drugs, I don't want to mention the trade names because the problems. Let me mention to you some of these drugs so that you can actually understand what I'm talking about. There are people who are taking drugs that are called the Prils, Enalapril is very common. Captopril is another one. Silazappril is another one. Fosinopril is another one. Imidapril is another one. But the most common one are captopril and enalapril, 5 milligrams and 10 milligrams. I know most of you or some of you who are taking this medication already understand what I'm talking about. So if you look at your drug, you will see these names, enalapril or captopril. These are enzymes that actually block this angiotensin converting enzyme. And therefore now they lower blood pressure. But I will tell you something after this. So next, now we've formed angiotensin 2. So we missed the step of blocking renin. Therefore, we ended up converting our angiotensinogen to angiotensin 1. And then we missed blocking this conversion of angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. And then now we have angiotensin 2. And angiotensin 2 is a potent vasoconstrictor. Vaso is blood vessel, constrictor is narrowing. So angiotensin 2 causes narrowing of blood vessels as number one. So when you narrow blood vessels, you increase blood pressure. So since we have high blood pressure, we don't want to narrow the blood vessels, we need to open them up. So we give you drugs to block angiotensin 2, and those drugs are called satans. Mashetani, satans. Hey, you've known drugs, and in this group we have drugs that come in as a first line. You know of drugs that are called olmesartan, candesartan, irbesartan. Losartan is the most common one. You've heard of losartan H, like? So they are satans. So Satan can actually help you heal from hypertension. Hey, so these are called satans. They are called ARBs. Yes, tell me Satan is there. Amazing. Valsartan is there. So you guys know these things. So these are drugs that block the constriction of blood vessels. So they cause dilation of blood vessels. Okay? So they block this angiotensin 2. They are satans, and they are called ARBs, angiotensin receptor blockers. No, atorvastatin, that is a statin. That's a drug that lowers cholesterol. These ones are satans. Losartan, valsartan, telmisartan, irbesartan, candesartan, satan. Shetani. Ashindwe, sio? Now I feel like niko na upako. Anyway, this angiotensin 2, one, we said it causes narrowing of blood vessels. Number 2, it causes the release of a hormone that is called aldosterone. Remember, aldosterone is coming from the adrenal glands and is coming from cholesterol. So this aldosterone binds to receptors, and when it binds to receptors, it causes 4 things. Number 1, you will retain sodium, so you will not urinate sodium. You will retain sodium. You will reabsorb sodium from the kidneys. When you absorb sodium, water follows. When water follows, you have high blood volume, and therefore blood pressure goes up. Okay, you see that? So we are giving you a hormone that actually causes you to reabsorb sodium and water. You retain water and sodium. Once you retain water and sodium, your blood volume goes up, your blood pressure goes up. So we need a drug to block this hormone so that your blood volume goes down and your blood pressure goes down. Do you see that? And this drug that blocks this receptor is a drug that most of you call aldactone. It is called spironolactone. Aldactone. There are people who are taking aldactone 25 milligrams or 50 milligrams, and when you take it, you urinate all your fluids out. The same to the hydrochlorothiazides, the ones that are called diuretics. There's another one that is called furosemide. Most of you know it as Lasix. So when you take them, you urinate a lot because they clear water from the system. But this aldosterone, 1, it causes reabsorption of sodium. 2, it causes reabsorption of water. Number 3, when you reabsorb sodium, you excrete potassium. So this drug, this hormone called aldosterone, when you produce it, you can actually end up getting hypokalemia, low potassium levels. That is dangerous for your heart. So therefore, if you take a drug that again blocks this hormone, which is the spironolactone, the aldactone, you end up raising potassium levels. Again, another problem, because potassium is one of the elements that is super regulated and is needed in very small amounts in the system. So when you end up taking drugs like aldactone, they retain potassium. They are actually called potassium sparing diuretics. So they spare potassium. When you retain potassium, your heart will beat so fast, arrhythmias, you might end up having a heart attack. So there are people who are using NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, painkillers like brufen, diclofenac, and all that, that actually affect the heart. And then you have hypertension and you're using this spironolactone, aldactone, and then you end up raising potassium. Problems. Problems. And again, these drugs, they cause an increase in hydrogen ions. Hydrogen is the measure of acidity. So when you have hydrogen ions going up, that is acidosis. So again, acidosis is very dangerous to your heart and your system entirely. So therefore, these drugs have to be taken with a lot of cautions. That's why I never tell you, oh, you have to just change from one drug to another. No, hypertension, you need monitoring. But allow me to tell you something here. You see, all these channels that we are targeting, the RAS system, we are targeting a reduction in blood pressure. So we're actually antagonizing the RAS system, because the RAS system, the body uses it to raise the blood pressure. So we are giving you drugs to block the RAS system so that you lower blood pressure, right? That is one thing you should understand. So the RAS system increases blood pressure, and the drugs that are given for hypertension, they actually block or do the opposite to the RAS system so that we lower blood pressure. But the point is this: at the end of it all, these drugs are targeting dilation of blood vessels, opening of the blood vessels, so that your blood pressure falls. Now, think with me. If you're trying to open a blood vessel so that your blood pressure falls, that's a good thing, right? But what caused the blood vessel to narrow? Have you fixed what causes the blood vessel to narrow? Have you? Do you see why I tell you drugs for hypertension are targeting the symptoms and not the cause? So you're targeting dilating these blood vessels so that the blood pressure goes down. And then when the liver breaks down that drug and that drug is excreted out of the system, the blood vessel goes back to narrow and you still have your blood pressure. So if you're taking drugs for blood pressure thinking that they are going to fix the problem or the cause, you're wrong. They're intentionally going to fix the symptoms by causing vasodilation. But when the drug has been excreted through the system, because it has to leave the system anyway, when it's excreted through urine or through stool, this blood vessel goes back to its new normal, which is the abnormal narrowing of the blood vessel. So therefore, you have to take the drug every single time to make sure that this blood vessel opens up. When the drug is out of the system, it goes back to normal. You do this, or you're just playing a game with the system. And that's why your doctor is telling you hypertension is irreversible, because he knows he's busy fixing the symptoms. He's not fixing the causes. Tumeelewa mpaka hapo? Somebody is saying hapana, kuna mashujaa wa hizi dawa. Well done. Well done. But I'll tell you this for free. Hakuna shujaa wa dawa za hypertension ama za pressure mwenye haja fix diet. They are told go and change the diet and at the same time take the medication. But they're still on medication. Even after fixing the diet, they're still on medication. I really wonder why some of your parents come in, they have drugs for hypertension, even though their blood pressures have stabilized. They are still warned, oh, you know, if you drop these drugs, the pressure will still come back. Now they're taking these drugs and going into hypo. They go into hypo, they get the confusion. They are told, now you have to take something. You go to hospital and you're given sodium chloride, which is salt. You're given the fluids to bring back your blood pressure. But they're not stopping the drugs. They're not tapering down the drugs. Why? Because you're stupid, because you're crazy, and you're coming with such a statement telling us they are heroes for these drugs. There's nobody who is a hero of medication. No, heroes are not coming from medication. Heroes are coming from extra things that are done when you're taking the medication. And that's why we never tell you to stop taking drugs for hypertension. We tell you, go and fix the kitchen, and this is what you're supposed to consume. Once you do that, as you take the drugs, because the body is used to the drugs. If you stop the drugs once, you end up getting something that is called the rebound hypertension. That's a problem. That can lead you into stroke. So therefore, what do you do? And this is the problem. There are people who are sharing health-related content. There are people who have been taking this content and sharing it out again for their own benefit. But the reality is this. These same people who are actually telling you to go and eat zero wheat, zero seed oils, and zero sugars, and then your blood pressure stabilizes, now they are unable to take you off the medication for hypertension because they understand nothing about medication and how to taper down medication. That's how you know you're dealing with a quack. They are busy to tell you, oh, avoid wheat, avoid sugar, avoid seed oils. You recover from hypertension. Now you've recovered from hypertension. Now go at them, tell them to help you taper down those medication. You will see wonders. Because you'll drop those drugs and tomorrow you're having a stroke. Tomorrow you're having heart problem. Tomorrow you're having blood vessels rupturing. Why? Because you have a rebound hypertension. They don't know how to taper them down. So ask them questions. They've helped you win hypertension, yes, but have they helped you win down the medication? No, they don't know. And that now separates the chaff from the rice. That separates the real deal from these quacks who are always just copy-pasting medication or copy-pasting the health content out there. Right now, you go on TikTok, you'll see how many weight loss programs are going on TikTok. How many people are now coming out as nutritionists, mainstream nutritionists. Now they're trying to incorporate their nutrition with these out of the mainstream nutrition. So they're trying to tell you, oh, avoid wheat, avoid sugar, avoid seed oil, start fasting. And you're fasting with them perfectly. And then your blood pressure stabilizes and they cannot get you off the medication. Do not ever, ever, ever drop drugs for medication instantly. For hypertension, instantly. Where? Hey, if you want a coma, do not ever drop medication for hypertension instantly. Specifically for those people who have taken these drugs for long periods of time. It's not that you do not recover from hypertension. It's just that your body has gotten used to these drugs. And if you drop them instantly, it's a problem. Rebound hypertension. That's crazy. But now imagine, this person has helped you lose weight. This person is busy preaching health content to you. And now your blood pressure has stabilized. And now you're still on medication for hypertension and you're going into hypo. So there is an admission. And then in the hospital, you are given sodium chloride, the normal saline, to bring back your blood pressure. But then I ask these people, how is it possible that somebody who has hyperglycemia, high blood sugars, and somebody who has low blood pressure are given salt, but these are the same people who you tell not to take salt? So what is sodium chloride? What is normal saline? And in every hospital bed, there is that normal saline tube in somebody. But your doctor will still come out of there and tell you, you have hypertension, avoid salt. But then when you get into hypo because of the medication that he prescribed for you, he'll give you salt. You have hypertension. You have high blood sugars, diabetes. And now your blood sugars are at 20 or 30. What does the doctor do? Gives you normal saline, salt. And then after you've recovered, now he tells you, do not eat salt. Well. Salt has never been a problem. Unless your diabetes has been there for the longest period of time, now you've destroyed your kidneys, you're going into dialysis and you're going for a transplant, and now you cannot regulate salt. You cannot even excrete salt. So stop blaming salt for what sugar causes you all the time. And you'll see them telling you that, oh, stop, salt is not a problem. Sugar is the problem. And then tell them, okay, tell me more. Like, let me go and see what Dr. Lewy is saying. I'll come back to you. Some of them cannot roll a live because they know you'll ask those questions on the live. They will run away. They can't. I'm telling you the truth.